Okay, hello. Today I'm going to be talking about an intro to the Neanderthalis dinosaurid Common War of 223 Maya, but also a specific battle taking place in what was ancient France, so around here. So this is a battle between the dinosaurs and the cavemen. This is taking place in the year 7 Common War, so 7th year of the Common War. So these guys are not in the picture yet. So this is pre-Karma in the Common War. So technically it's not the Common War, but it becomes the Common War. So if this was the entire timeline of the Common War, it's here in the pre-Karma era. This is the post-Karma era, and then this is the Karma era. We're here in the pre-Karma era. Okay, so we're going to look at this battle. So this is the caveman dinosaur conflict of ancient France. Okay, as you can see, it takes part in this area of Pangea, which was in fact ancient France. And it saw, I think this general was called the Great Fang of the East, and controlled much of eastern territories, like over here, like France kind of area, and against General Ugg. Okay, so let's lay out the scene. The cavemen had begun their offensive in late July. Okay, so the cavemen, they were coming from down here, like Antarctica kind of stuff. They were moving up to try and seize dinosaurid land. Okay, in the peak of Cretaceous summertime. So it was swelteringly hot. This doesn't really play that much of a part because cavemen were using the trees as shade and stuff like that. They were effective at this. So anyway, the two forces, they meet here in the beautiful fields of ancient France. Okay, and so because he realized that the dinosaurid forces were here, he had set up a camp. The camp was about here roughly, and basically he had set up camp because he expected that the dinosaurs were going to be coming. So he set up his camp. He raised an army of around 2,400, and for someone such as General Ugg, like General Ugg is not like the most accredited general ever, so 2,400 is really good for him. So he readied 400 mammoth cavalry and 2,000 spearmen. Okay, so this is a good composition for the time. Mammoth cavalry was hard to come by. The mammoth kings wouldn't really lend out their mammoth cavalry, so this was a good number, to be honest. And they would take part in a death charge. Okay, so death charge was a typical tactic, typical strategy of the time. Okay, so it would consist of, as you can see here, the mammoth cavalry would just run into battle and try and just charge and destroy as many enemy forces as possible. So they would do that, but because Ugg was skeptical, okay, he kept his spearmen back here by the forest. This is because basically he knew the camp that was here would be under attack. Okay, it would be, if he didn't defend it, the T-Rexes would come and ravage it. Okay, so he knew to keep his spearmen back, and that he did. Okay, as you can see here, the 400 mammoth cavalry charge in the open field, and the T-Rexes rush into the woods to flank the enemy, and the raptors charge headfirst into battle. Yes, the Diplodocuses stayed back, they stayed here, but to be honest, the Diplodocuses did not play that much of a role in the battle. They were very, very not integral at all. I'd say the Claw of the East, should have not brung his Diplodocuses. He should have focused on making sure the raptors stayed in line, maybe keeping some T-Rexes back here with the raptors to stop them from eventually breaking ranks and like charging without any rhyme or reason really. And so he held his spearmen back here. Okay, and as the T-Rexes made their way, the forest, they trapped the forest with primitive log traps and spear pit traps, and the T-Rexes were falling left and right. Okay, so by the time the 20 T-Rexes made it here, they numbered only about maximum of 7. Okay, so the spearmen could just really quickly like mow them down, and this is what later becomes T-Rex Bone Forest, which is a major player in much of the later parts of the Counter War, but we'll go into that later. So the 2,000 spearmen, they lie in wait. The T-Rexes make their way through. The spearmen enclose and kill many of them. Yep, there we go. And okay, so the mammoths, when they reached here, they basically killed a bunch of people, and then instead of going forwards, they looped around, and because these raptors were now like around here, they looped around and charged at the raptors again, and basically the raptors now were like completely demolished. Like, oh my god. And so this was actually very tactical at the time, because usually mammoth riders, they'd just go, they'd loot the baggage trains, they'd take the loot, but here they didn't. Okay, and now the raptors, without orders, rampage wildly. Okay, they're just like caught here in the middle. They're like trying to survive, trying to kill, but they couldn't really do much. Okay, so they do that, and the Diplodocuses try as hard as possible to trample the enemy, do kind of stuff like that. But the spearmen, by now, because they've dealt with the T-Rex forces, have come up here, so they're like right behind here, and the mammoths are right here. So the cavemen just spear down their Diplodocus legs. Okay, but like you may think, oh, the cavemen are demolishing them, but no, the raptors with their frenzy actually wipe out like most of the spearmen and the bulk of the mammoths actually. So they're actually a powerful unified force. Even when they're not like a true unified force, they are still like, they work kind of as one and still take down the enemies. Okay, and then it is a Pyrrhic victory. Okay, Og's forces are diminished to a mere 300. So considering he started with 2,400, that's like that's abominable. That's like maybe a sixth of its force maximum survive, I think. And yeah, because of the raptors' blind rampage, it's crazy. Now, General Og, it does say down here, he did have experience in the African campaigns, so like up here he had experience, but he was very stupid when it came to provisions. Okay, he didn't provision his armies the best, and so after the battle was won, the 300 were starving. They were starving, and they had to scavenge dinosaur and mammoth corpses. Okay, this was wild. Okay, this was a wild time. The dinosaurs here, the dinosaurs here, the dinosaurs here were all scavenged for meat, but alas, they had to retreat, and this camp was kind of abandoned, and they all retreated south. And basically they won the battle, but they lost a lot of the ground that they gained from this battle. So ultimately this battle didn't do too much. I mean, we could have seen some more tactically from these cavemen, but honestly I think it's the dinosaurs' blunder that led to the caveman victory. If these Diplodocuses were not involved, if they were just completely removed, and instead T-Rexes were here, and also we didn't have the stupid charge through the forest. This was intensely stupid. If we didn't have any of this, and instead they conducted their own kind of death charge, I think the dinosaurs would have completely demolished the caveman force. Like, there's not even a doubt about it. Like, they're completely wiping out these 400 mammoths against a unified force of like maybe in this case we'd have swap these duplicates of T-Rexes, 350 dinosaurs, 50 of those being T-Rexes. No, you're not standing a chance. But because they did this stupid charge through the forest, General Og ended up winning. Okay, now there is a war hymn. Okay, this war hymn, it's been documented several times, and basically I can see it for you now. Mammoth roared, the earth it broke, spear and tusk through lizard folk. Trees they shook, the sky went black, blood of thunder soaked the track. Ugh, he called and ugh, he bled, wrapped his teeth and giant dead. We won the field, we lost the year, bones to dust, but none we fear. So this basically highlights the fact that the mammoths broke the front line. The mammoths actually, they were the main reason for the loss, despite except from the tactical blunder from the dinosaurs. By breaking the front line, they disorganized the raptor forces and basically allowed the cavemen to kind of like clean up after them. And then it also talks about here, trees they shook. The T-Rexes, as they went through, the trees shook, but also the traps shook the trees. And here it says Ucky called, Ucky bled, wrapped his teeth in giant dead. So that's just basically talking about the fight here, the big fight here. And we won the field, we lost the year. Okay, this is highlighting the fact that they had to retreat south because of the lack of supplies, the poor planning. Honestly, this is a very, very close victory for the cavemen, and honestly the dinosaurs, if they'd just been wiser, this small conflict in ancient France would have been severely different, and the dinosaurs would be instead of the cavemen taking some territory up here, the dinosaurs would probably be able to march their way down here uncontested, because Ugg was like the only one stationed around here and the rest were here or here. Okay, so they would have like a really easy route down through the middle of these guys. But because of this great loss, the dinosaurs kind of stayed up here and here. Like they didn't really manage to get down this early into the Common War. Reminder, this is 7 years into the Common War, so Atlantis hasn't even risen. Any all of that like stuff has not even happened. So the cavemen did very well for what happened, but it was mainly the failure of the dinosaurs that caused this. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment about what you want to see next. If you want to see more Common War stuff, if you want to see more about the background of Karma, that kind of stuff, background of the forces maybe of the Common War, that would be interesting to do. I've seen some comments about the Fletcher Kane conspiracy in Fortnite. That could be interesting. I haven't really dabbled into that too much, but we could have a look, of course, if there's enough public support for it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, or follow if you're on Spotify. Over and out.